Hi, it's Mike Filsame, and welcome to another interview in the series for the Traffic Syndicate, Kevin Anson. And boy, am I excited for you to meet him.
I was laid off in 2010, started my own video business in 2011, traveling, trading a lot of my time for money.
Kevin is the master at video ads for Facebook advertising. Some of his clients, Russell Brunson, Dan Kennedy, Dean Graziosi, and Tony Robbins, Brendan Bouchard, Mike Tyson, companies like Gym Launch, Costco, and Mercedes-Benz. He's also worked with clients like Grant Cardone, Mike Dillard, Ty Lopez, Frank Kern, and companies like Kajabi.
I got that book in the mail and I just devoured that thing for me, and I started to really dive into to digital marketing. In my notes app on my phone, I had these 10 ingredients. No one really had those 10 ingredients laid out the way that I did.
Legends in our industry actually took your course and apply it. And he has an incredible agency and one of the most popular course ever purchased by the gurus. In fact, it's even included in the Traffic Syndicate Mastermind and courses. So without further ado, let's get started with Kevin Anson. All right, Kevin, thanks for joining us. We're going to just jump right on in. Do me a favor, tell me and the people listening a little bit about your story. What you were doing before you found this digital marketing career that you have now.
So I was laid off in 2010, and prior to that, I was in the corporate world as the director of video production for various companies. 2011 hit, and after a long discussion with my wife, getting laid off, she said, you should just start your own video business. And so I did that in San Diego, California. Started my own video business in 2011 and was making corporate videos, just videos for people's websites, things like that. Fast forward to about 2017, started to learn a little bit more about digital marketing. And that's really where the journey for me started. I really started going all in on that.
And how did you get started with digital marketing?
I read a book by Russell Brunson called .com Secrets.
And what year was this?
For me, it was 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where I heard about it, if it was an ad or what it was, but I got that book in the mail and I just devoured that thing. And I was obsessed with this whole notion of, oh, you can actually get people to watch a video and get them to, do what you need them to do. If it's, to sign up for an email list or to buy a product or whatever. Because prior to that, I had made hundreds of videos, maybe thousands, but I didn't really understand the human psychology aspect of what goes into a successful video to cause people to actually take action.
The direct response.
Once I was like, I'm missing that skill. I know how to shoot. I know how to edit. I could fly drones, whatever it was, but I didn't know how to actually get people to the next step. And so it always bothered me when I would talk to clients months after I made a video and I'd say, hey, how did that video work out? And they'd say something like, it was okay, or, we didn't really use the video because it just wasn't really working. And I was like, God, that just bothered me so much. So I had to learn how.
Yeah. And you were like, the video was perfect. It was edited great. Like, what do you mean it didn't work? And so you had that connection after reading .com Secrets. It's interesting. You said, I don't know how I found the book. It was an ad or something. Russell's going to get you one way or another. Like it's, you're not going to avoid, that marketing. They do a great job. With .com Secrets, ClickFunnels, Traffic Secrets, all of their different courses. Next question I have for you is, so you read this book in 2017. Do you remember any aha moment or any inciting event or anything or ideas in that book where your head just said, oh my God, that's it. If that's true, I'm going to apply it. I want to see if I can get the results. Was there anything in that book that changed your perception of marketing?
Yeah, at the time I was doing a lot of traveling for video shoots for clients all over the United States, trading a lot of my time for money. And I was always like, there has to be a different way to provide for my family. I have 4 kids, my wife. There has to be another way to be able to get some MRR going, right? Monthly recurring revenue, to where I can actually build something and then people can purchase that and I'm making evergreen sales. And so, he touches on that stuff in the book. And so I was like, if I could just develop the skill, learn advertising, learn how to make successful video ads, then I can teach other people how to do it. There might be a way that I can actually get that MRR going. And so that's kind of what, kicked it off for me, and I started to really dive into to digital marketing.
And from what I know, you have a course that some of the legends in our industry actually took your course and apply it. Can you talk a little bit about your course and like what your core methods are, or like the core fundamental steps of that course?
Yeah. So right after the pandemic hit, our business was struggling as far as getting video ad clients, and I always had in my notes app on my phone, I had these 10 ingredients that I always looked at whenever I was going to create a video ad for one of our clients. And I was like, no one in the world knows this information that I know. Maybe, some of the oldies like Dan Kennedy or these other guys, like, they've touched on some of these principles, but no one really had those 10 ingredients laid out the way that I did. So I decided I was going to make a course. And I almost was like scared to do it because I was like, I'm just giving out all the information. I don't know if I should do this. This is just telling everyone my secrets. And so I launched it, and it was, I think it was the middle of 2020. And then I ended up selling it to, over 3,000 people.
Wow.
And it was a huge turning point for me, because then it was like I was able to achieve the monthly recurring revenue that I was seeking. It was like looking at my Stripe app on my phone. It always, pops off when there's a sale, and it was just all day long. It would just be like, boom, I had it for $97 at the time. Just like bing, bing, bing all throughout the day. And I'm just like, this is insane. Like, I actually did it. I wanted to make a course. I wanted to make money while I'm hanging out with my family. So I was able to pull it off. But the cool thing was, and like what your question was asking, is I had the team at Gym Launch, which is Alex Hormozi's company. They purchased it.
Mm-hmm.
Grant Cardone's team purchased the course. Dean Graciosi's team purchased the course. Brendan Burchard's team purchased the course. ClickFunnels team purchased the course. So I'm like, every time I saw that email address come through from one of them, I'm like, oh my gosh, like Jared Glant at Grant Cardone just bought the course. And so like, I know him. So I texted him. I'm like, dude, did you just buy my course? He's like, yep. So I'm excited about it. But so that was really cool to see, like something that I had created was that good that they were actually implementing into their internal teams. So.
Yeah. And from what I understand, Jesse told me you're putting, and I'm going to ask this question. If it's not the case, we'll just take it out. But Jesse told me that you're giving the Traffic Syndicate members access to that course included in the Traffic Syndicate. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. The course that you guys would get access to is that course, which has the 10 ingredients plus the 10 ad types that we look at. So it's just a different way to combine those ingredients and different types of ads, which this course that's in the Traffic Syndicate is actually a similar one that's inside of Russell Brunson's Inner Circle. So all of his mastermind, his Inner Circle, 2CCX, they have access to that. And I was given permission, of course, by Russell to be able to do that. So,
well, first off, thank you very much. Secondly, there's a lot of noise in this world of different people, and I've gotten to meet you through Jesse as we're doing the Traffic Syndicate. I'm going to take that course myself, especially hearing, Grant Cardone, Alex Hormozi's team, Russell Brunson's team. And I want to get to that because I know that you've gotten close with Russell and their team and done some stuff. We're going to get to that in just a minute. And I also want to talk a little bit about the course, but I also want to talk about the success you had with the course before we jump into those things. How did you do a traditional Jeff Walker style product launch and get affiliates, or did you run ads? What was it that made that course hit the zeitgeist?
So I sold the course at a low price at first.
Mm-hmm.
I tested it organically on Facebook just to see if anyone would bite. I sold it for probably $37 at the time.
And did you have an audience, a list of 5,000, 50,000? Did you have like any base that you were able to start with, or you just started with social media?
No, I just started with social media. I had no list whatsoever.
Wow. That's exactly what we want to show people today. And I'm glad that you said that, is because, I'm trying to uncheck as many of these boxes. So people that go, well, he had a list of 100,000 people. So you had a product, you had a course, and you ran ads for that course as well, using your methods?
Yeah, exactly. So I ran ads to cold traffic, people who had no idea who I was. This was after I did the little beta test of testing it at $37. I mean, I might have gotten 25 people to buy it at that price, right? And then I would collect feedback or I would collect testimonials from those people. So then I could update my landing page before I would run ads. So implemented all the social proof on the landing page, ran ads on Facebook and Instagram, didn't run ads anywhere else, not TikTok, not YouTube, not, articles and blogs and stuff like that. And sold it for $97 to cold traffic. I had a nice VSL of me describing what the course was on there.
How long was your video sales letter, the VSL?
It's still there if you want to go see it. I don't know if you want me to tell them what the web address is.
Yeah, sure.
But
go right ahead.
It's if you go to thevideoformula.com.
Thevideoformula.com.
Okay. Right. And I want to say, I mean, of course you're catching me off guard here, but it maybe 3 or 4 minutes or something like that. Yeah. And then so $97 was actually kind of my break-even point. But
was there a long form sales letter underneath that to make the $97 sale with only a 4-minute video?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it wasn't just text on the sales letter, but yeah, it's a pretty lengthy sales letter.
Okay. Gotcha.
And, there's a lot of, there's some images and social proof and tell them what they get inside the course, all that stuff. It's pretty lengthy. I spent a good amount of time working on it, honestly. Like I would just sit up late at night and just peck away at the landing page, wee hours of the night. And then I would go on my phone when I'm laying next to my wife and I would look at the landing page and I'd be like, I don't like that. And I'd go back and I would change it, And so it was just like constantly just making adjustments to it. But so I had a $17 order bump, and then there was an OTO 1 and an OTO 2. So if somebody went through the entire funnel and bought everything that I created, it was around $700. So anything after the 97 was pure profit. And so a good amount of people were taking me up on that. When you say pure profit,
it was costing you about $97 to acquire the customer. So if you didn't have any upsell sequence in the path, you would have just broken even. So you were able to acquire leads at no cost, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
You would spend 100, make 100, and then you made your profit in the OTO 1, which is one-time offer 1, one-time offer 2, right through there. And if they bought everything, it was $700. What was your average cost per sale? With the people that didn't take it and did take it, if you would, on average, if you could remember.
It was probably around, $200 to $300, somewhere in there.
Yeah. So let's say 250. So you were making about $150 per sale after you paid for the ad.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. So
and that was all Facebook? Were you doing that on Facebook or?
It was all Facebook ads. I hired a guy to help me run the ads because I didn't know how to do it. It just looks like an airplane cockpit to me when I go in there. And so hired a guy to run the ads. And so he was managing all that, and he would take a percentage. Just like if you're listening to this, it's like just because you're hiring somebody doesn't mean you have to pay them $5,000 a month. There are ad buyers out there who are really talented, who will work out a deal with you, or they'll take a percentage of the sales.
Yeah.
That way you can kind of get up and running. And so that's what I did. And it worked out really well. We got up to the point where we were spending, maybe 15 grand a month in ads, which sounds like a lot to some people, but it's actually not that much. But the profit, it was like, 2x, 3x. And so making 15 to 20 grand a month on a course, not having to really do anything except for answer support emails every once in a while, or, the occasional refund, or people had questions. That was pretty much all it was. And so it earned me 2 Comma Club award. And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, sure. You're, making $250,000 just doing that in profit to $300,000 a year in profit on autopilot at that point. And so talk to me about the, just from a 30,000 foot view, what was that formula that, in that 10-part system?
So it's basically psychological ingredients that we look at every time we create a video ad in our agency. And it's things that humans are hardwired to respond to. And it's usually emotional elements or logical elements, like a pattern interrupt in the beginning of your video.
It was a template of that. You would give these people these psychological understandings, and then you would say, your video needs step 1, the pattern interrupt. And they would basically go down this formula, make sure they checked all of those 10 different things, and then infused it with their own brand. Right.
And not to go into the weeds, but I would tell people, like, you don't have to put all 10 of the ingredients in here, but if you're to do a shortened version of it, here's the 3 to 5 ingredients that you want to make sure you include in there, right? So it's like, we always hear about pain points. Did you cover the pain points? Did you cover the right pain points? Did you talk about the result that your product or service can get the viewer? after, signing up for your offer, whatever it is. And so there's 10 of those ingredients that we look at that we always put in our ads, and it hasn't changed in the last, 5 or so years since we've been using them.
Gotcha. And now you're starting to make those sales, and now you're starting to do that. Like, you did the first testing, the $37, but now that you've got this system into place and the sales are starting to come in, let's go back in time into that mindset. I see that little smile coming on your face. What was that like, knowing that, oh my God, my life is changing? What was going through your head at that time?
I mean, I was just like, this is what true financial freedom feels like, and it sounds kind of corny to say. We hear that term used a lot in the industry, but I mean, it was true, because I was always the guy sitting on the sidelines, sitting in the audience at these big events, watching other people talk about this. And I'm like, I don't know. It's not possible. He's full of crap. Like, I can't do that. And I was just like, well, I always had this mantra in my head, and I made this up for myself, but it was like, I'm going to get really old one day. My kids are going to be grown up, and I'm going to be sitting there where I possibly can't move much anymore, or maybe I'm on my deathbed. And I'm always going to have that regret if I don't do it, of like, God, I wish I would have just made a course and launched it. I always wanted to. I always saw there were other people doing it. Why didn't I do it? So now it's like I have this sense of peace in my own head where I'm like, I did it. I did the thing. I put the work in. It took me probably 2 full weeks to develop all the stuff that I did, which isn't that bad. And I launched it, and I sold it, and it worked. And then as a result, on top of that, we got so many new agency clients, because people would go through the course and then they would say, well, that's just something that's great and everything, but I don't want to do that myself. Can we just hire you to do it? So I had an average of at least one sales call per day of people that wanted to hire our agency.
Beautiful.
And then I had a coaching program that I just invented out of thin air, where people could sit with me on a live Zoom call for 2 full days, where I just go through everything that I know about video advertising and how to make video ads. And so I sold that, started it off at $2,500 per person. Then it was $5,000 per person to sit with me for 2 days.
Because you were getting so many people, you had to lower the amount of people through the amount of time that you could offer. So the price had to go up. Your services were good, and people wanted to pay it.
Right, exactly. And so not a single refund on that coaching program that I had. Still made some really great friends with those guys. I still talk to them to this day. And it's just, the course just really is just, it's kind of like
it's the front end of the funnel. Yeah.
It's a front end.
It's
like
the front
end
of the Ascension funnel. And then you were bringing those people into agency, consulting, and coaching. And so, so you're making $250,000 to $300,000 profit just on your front end. Mm-hmm. And then that's feeding all of your high ticket behind it.
Right. Yep. And so, it opened up so many doors. I spoke on so many podcasts, and I'm not like saying all stuff to brag, but it's literally like, it was just all the stuff started happening because I put myself out there. I got on camera and I made a course. It's like I spoke on stage at Funnel Hacking Live in 2023.
Which is amazing.
How is that possible?
I know some people, I know some people that have spoken on Funnel Hacking Live, and I know what it took for them to get on there. One of the guys, was the top affiliate for ClickFunnels. Mm-hmm. And, you would think that the top affiliate for ClickFunnels could have just said, name the date, I want to be on the stage. And, he had to, work with Russell and the team over a couple of years to get on that stage. So, for you to be on that stage at Funnel Hacking Live is an incredible achievement, especially being that you got started reading that book, .com Secrets, in 2017.
Right. Yeah. And, it was very humbling. It was really cool to be able to speak on that stage. So.
Yeah, and you're in Russell's world a little bit. You've done some stuff for them. Could you talk a little bit about your relationship with ClickFunnels and that team, and what you've done for them, or either through your courses or anything like that? I'll let you answer the question.
Yeah, so I actually had the opportunity to edit his vlog for YouTube early on. So this was 2017, and I was editing that thing. We were doing about 3 episodes per week. So we're looking at it's like a 5 to 10 minute video.
I remember those. Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't charge him a lot because I didn't know what to charge at the time, but I feel like I just ate sand and I was like, whatever, let's just do this thing. And so I was in the trenches for about a year editing that thing. And because I always knew that one day it was going to pay off. Mm-hmm. And so I got to be in a room with him one time for 20 minutes. It was out in Minnesota, this little event that Dana Derrick's put on. And I was tired of doing the vlog, and I'm like, hey, dude, I don't want to edit this thing anymore. Like, no hard feelings. I want to do video ads for you guys. I want to learn how to do video ads. Like, I've always been passionate about it, put me in the game. And then they started using me. I started making the video ads. We started running traffic. And of course, the first couple ads that I did, they completely bombed because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know the 10 ingredients yet, right? So as time went on, that's when the Notes app on my phone started building itself. I was like, oh, that ingredient worked. We're going to do that one more often, or this ingredient worked. And so I was building that list of ingredients. And so to this day, we still edit videos for ClickFunnels, and they're one of our best clients. They're amazing. And so whenever they have a new offer, they're coming out with offers left and right. They will hire us to do it. They'll just give us a link to the landing page, maybe send us a video, maybe not, and we'll just create video ads out of thin air. So it's been a lot of fun.
And also, tell me about your relationship with Jesse. How did you and Jesse get connected? Did you brainstorm anything with him that you were able to put into your business or your marketing?
Yeah, so Jesse and I actually had the similarity that we both worked with Brandon Burchard, and he worked with him prior to when I worked with him. And then, this for me, it was around, 2018 or so when I started working with Brendan and going to his events and doing all types of videos for him. And so Jesse and I linked up and we became friends, just got on some Zoom calls, got to know each other. And the strategies that he's shared with me and all the stuff that he's built and all the systems and everything that he understands from like a really big holistic approach. I mean, he understands all of that stuff, and giving me tips and connecting me with different people over the years has been really, really cool. So yeah, he's a great guy.
Fantastic. So you spoke earlier when we first started, what was life was like, you got laid off from another job. You're going to now start your own business, and you're just going to try to figure it out and, hack your way through it. That put you on this journey. And then, you had that point in your life where you got the .com secrets book, major change in your life. Talk to us about what is life like today? Like, and feel free to, it's tough. We always say we don't want to brag, but, without having to talk about bank accounts or income, but more like that freedom. It sounds cheesy. We say the financial freedom, but the time with, you got 4 kids, what you get to do with your wife. What is life like now today?
So let's just say this: if somebody was to offer me a job, they would have to offer me a lot of money to take it, because I know that it comes with a lot of, your time and being owned by someone else. So I don't have that anymore. I mean, I took half the summer off and we got in our camper and we drove from South Carolina all the way to California to see some family and drove back. We probably do about, between 8 and 10 different family trips a year. If something happens around the house where, yesterday was my wife's car broke down and I had to help her out and we had to take it over to the shop. Like, nothing stopped, nothing changes. It's okay. Like, I can take the day off and help her out. Or if one of the kids is sick or whatever, it's just like having that freedom to do whatever the heck I want, whenever I want. And it's incredible. And so, I don't work 40 hours a week. I just can't with 4 kids. Yeah. We have a lot of things going on, kids at school, activities, things like that. I work probably half that, but yeah, I mean, it's honestly, it's been a dream come true to be able to be an entrepreneur and make my own schedule, decide what I want to do tomorrow or what I don't want to do tomorrow. And so it's just, it's amazing.
I want people to have that transformation that you've had. And I don't say this in any way that we pity anybody. We're here to make sure that people have a transformation. Kevin, do you ever find yourself talking to your spouse, your wife, when you just said that you could work 20 hours a week, and saying the things that I say sometimes to my spouse? It's like, I go to the supermarket and I see bacon cost $11. And I say things like, how are people surviving on real world salaries? And then I see you've got to take your, like the advantages that we have with my partner. Every 5 minutes, I'm taking my kids here. I'm taking them to the doctor. I can do anything. And then I say to myself, what? I was in the car business. I used to work 70 hours a week, and I didn't have kids. But if I did, how do people have any life with their kids? And like, how in the world are they surviving? And the sad thing is they're not. That's why they're watching these videos. Do you ever have that conversation with with your wife about how blessed you are when you start realizing that like the prices are insane for everything and the time that you get to spend with your family to do the things you want with your kids?
Oh yeah, we have that conversation all the time, and it's we're very thankful to be where we're at with that, because there's so many times, and I'm sure you can attest to that too, Mike, where it's she just needs your help
Mm.
with something.
Yeah.
And if you were working for the man and you're at a job, you can't just get up and leave and go help your wife with whatever it is she needs help with, right? Unless it's like a dire emergency, sure, but like just everyday stuff. It's like, hey, I just got home with the groceries. Can you help me unload the car? It's like,
Yeah.
all right, yeah, sure, I'll go help you. I'll like be a good guy
Being
and
there,
go do
you're
that.
there.
Yeah, you're there. It's like, come on. So yeah, and I mean, of course, there's times where you have to lock it down, shut it off. Like you're like, no, listen, I'm in my office. I have this thing with Mike Filsame today. You can't bother me. We got to take our 4-year-old to the
Right now for me
grandparents' house.
too.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, those things happen, but still, on the just on the everyday, it's really really cool to be able to do that and just take care of your family when you need to take care of your family and be there for them.
Yeah, even without kids, I was in the car business for 14 years. And I remember like having date nights or a vacation and literally being told, like, okay, boss, so just a reminder on, Sunday I'm leaving. You're not leaving Sunday. And they weren't kidding. It's like, no, I am. Who'd you approve that with? I approved it with John like 2 months ago. I have a ticket. I'm going to Florida. It's like, no, you're not. So and so just quit. You walk out that door and you're not here on Monday morning. You don't have a job. And like that feeling of like literally just wanting to vomit, that you have to call your wife and say, I can't go. And then she's yelling at you. What do you mean you can't go? And that's the hell
Mm-hmm.
that car business can do. And yeah, and maybe we take it for granted. So with that said, Kevin, if you had that point in your life where everything changed for you, if there's a call to action underneath this interview that we're doing, a place for people to register for a webinar that I believe is going to give them the information to change their life, what would you tell yourself back 15 years ago, or that person today, if that was the difference of getting on that webinar or not?
Yeah, I would just say that I personally know the guys who are involved in this, Mike and Jesse, and I mean they're amazing guys. They put together an amazing program, and there's incredible information and experts who are teaching all of this stuff. Like we've all been there, done that, and we know what works and what doesn't. But it's really just, this could be your turning point where you're watching all this stuff online, and there's a lot of fluffy stuff, and you're not sure who to believe, but it's actual strategies that people are teaching in these programs that they've actually done themselves. But it's just don't give up, just keep building stuff. Like that is one of the lessons that I learned early on. Was like, if I'm just sitting back and hoping that all this stuff's going to come to me and then it doesn't, it's because I haven't actually built anything. And building stuff could mean you're making videos and putting yourself out there online, or you're making a course and trying it out and seeing if it works, or you're running ads, or you're just basically building stuff and getting attention to who you are and what you're doing. Because until you've done all that, like you can't call it a failure. Like you can't say like, oh yeah, I tried Mike's program and it didn't work for me. But it's like, okay, well, what did you do? Like, what are the steps that you took? Well, I didn't take any steps. Well, then that's why it didn't work for you. Like if you actually sit down and do the work and build it out, even if it takes you several months to actually, peck away at it every night after you get home from your job, that's whatever it takes. That's okay. For some people, it takes years for them to peck away at it and finally get to the point where they launch something. And just because you launch a course and it doesn't work, doesn't mean it's a failure either, and it's not going to work for you. Because I launched a couple courses before I launched the one that works, but it's also because I didn't really know what my market wanted or needed. I just made up a course that I thought was cool, and then I made it, and then no one really bought it. And so once I understood a little bit more about marketing and I understood like what people really needed, the needs, yeah, then I made that course and it did really well. And so, yeah, and just keep plugging away, keep making stuff, keep building stuff. That's when I see even my own business today to this very day is when I stop building stuff and putting myself out there. That's when my business starts to kind of plateau and the line's not going up. And so as soon as I start building stuff, putting more stuff out there, that's when it starts to really take off.
Great. Kevin, I want to thank you very much for doing this interview, part of this series here for the Traffic Syndicate. And I'm looking forward to going through your course that's inside the Traffic Syndicate and connecting with you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wow, what an incredible interview that was with Kevin Anson. One of my personal favorites, without a doubt. So make sure, if you want to get on a journey, just like Kevin, right underneath this interview series, you're going to see a button to register for a webinar. All the dates and times that you need are right below this video. If you want to transform your life like Kevin did, and you want to be at the place where you can have true financial freedom, it can happen to you. We want to help you do it with the Traffic Syndicate. All you need to do is to get on this exciting webinar. We're going to be giving you some great training with myself and Jesse Doback. More information below. We'll see you on the webinar.